Welcome to Star-Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino-Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Welcome, luminaries, to another podcast interview. And I am so excited to bring Christina Jenkins and April Millar because we're going to be talking all about the moon. Hi, April. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Leslie.
So I'm really excited to bring them here for a number of reasons. Like, not only are they just such beautiful, wonderful people, I've got a chance to meet Christina in person, and I've had a chance to work with both of these amazing souls. Christina has a beautiful business called Embody Your Essence brand, and April is going through this wonderful transition, but always at her heart working with children and bringing children and mothers to this like beautiful, joyful, centered place. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Leslie. It's so great to be here.
So this dynamic duo has recently put together another beautiful creation. They have come together, and we really need this because, I love working with the moon. I'm sure that you all love working with the moon, and I didn't do any moon things this year that I'm like offering out. So like, this is like so perfect. I love that you brought this into the world. Can you tell us this new creation that you have to share with everyone?
Yes. Okay. So it is really truly is, everybody loves to have a ritual. Well, not everybody. If you love working with the moon, typically you have a ritual around like the new moon and the full moon. And so we kind of decided to bring together a workbook so that you could either add it to your ritual or it can become your ritual. And all of them are customed to what is happening in the sky at that moment. And it actually was the brainchild of Christina. And I just was like amazed that she was making these workbooks for herself. And I was like, no, though everyone needs these workbooks. These are amazing.
So it's just something that I've always loved the moon. And so while I was learning more and more about astrology, like I would literally go through Instagram and just find like questions or information, and then I would just write it up, and then on the new moon or the full moon I would fill out these questionnaires. And then as I learned more and more about astrology, and I just started like putting my own stuff together, and then last spring after April and I met, I was starting to open up a little bit, and I just said, hey, come to this full moon. It was a full moon in Scorpio last year, the eclipse. And anyway, we've been hanging out ever since on the new and full moons.
It's been so great.
Oh gosh, I love this. So the beautiful creation that both April and Christina have created is called Work with the Moon. And so if you head on over to their social media or to the website workwiththemoon.com, they will deliver these like powerful worksheets to you twice a month that has rituals for both the new moon and the full moon. And of course, I know if you're listening to us in this podcast, you too love working with the moon. But what I love so much about this is how you've really made it your own and integrated all of like both of your secret sauces, so to say. So, April with kind of like that herb background that you've had from like that you've gained the blessings of your family, all of that talent that you come from the herb healing, and then just like the mysticism and the tarot and just like the beautiful crystal work with that you add to it, Christina. These guidebooks are amazing because you offer a card spread, you offer different healing crystals and herbs to work with. How did you guys come up with all of like this? Is so much information.
So like I said, it was just a work in progress that I just put together, and it was for myself. It was really just for myself. And I've been working with crystals and flower essences and essential oils since the mid 90s. Actually, I started in the early 90s, and it was so crazy back then to try and explain what an essential oil was. I don't know if you guys remember, it was like nobody understood it, nobody got it. Now it's everywhere. And so just including that, it's I get into the hustle so easy. So for me, this was a creative space in a different way, and a way that I could just get present.
Yeah. And I really love like the manifesting aspects of working with the moon, as far as like, you know, planting the seeds of intention and wishes at the new moon, and then the releasing at the full moon, and like different practices and fun like activities that you can do. And so we've implemented all of that, and honestly it has become like an intuitive practice for us to create them. So we really tap into what needs to be in each workbook, and we kind of just co-create with, it feels like the divine, and each one is completely different. And so it's a really like beautiful culmination of it all.
Yes, I love everything that you pour into it, and I want to share a little bit more about the book. But before we get into like all of like the details of just just the goodies that exist in this valuable resource, how did you guys come together and decide to create this thing?
I love this story so much. People ask us all the time, how did you guys even meet? And the truth is, we live in the same city.
We had no idea though.
None. And so we were in your community. We were in
I know, it's like you're the fairy godmother or something.
we're like the fruits of the labors in some way, some of your fruits. But yeah, so we just hit it off in what, I don't remember the program.
I think it
was it Star
yeah.
Power? Okay. So yeah, Star Powered. And you know, April used to be a doula. I mean, she still is a doula, but she was releasing that business. And I have children who in the next 5 to 10 years, daughters, are going to be giving birth. And she was explaining this birth experience that I would have loved to have had. So I was like, I need to meet this woman, because I want to be able to offer this to my daughters if that's what they choose. So we decided that we would just have like a virtual coffee date.
Which was so like in your class, we're messaging each other privately, and she's like, hey, do you want to just meet together virtually? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. She's like, okay, I'll friend you on Facebook. And I'm like, sounds good. And then about 3 minutes later, I get another message in the class, and she's like, do you live in Nampa, Idaho? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, I do too.
Wow.
So we met up for real coffee person, and spent like 2 hours just chatting. And we left there saying like, it is amazing to be able to talk to someone without having to explain. To be like, oh, my moon in Virgo, or like, oh, this and this, and talk astrology, talk spirituality, talk mysticism, talk it all those languages, and be able to like share with each other without being like, okay, so what I mean by this, and explaining. And it just felt like so at home with each other. So it really does feel like a sacred contract type of friendship. So
yes, sure. Like that soul sisters kind of thing. And I love that you guys met through me in a program. And you know, if you're watching on video, when I opened up the Zoom to record this, I was so delighted to see both April and Christina in the same Zoom window, meaning that they were together to record this. And
it's so great. I mean, like twice a week at least, we're hanging out in person.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of developed too. So we just like became friends, and then I was just impressed with Christina and everything that she was kind of putting out into the world. And so I offered to help. I have a Virgo moon.
Yes.
And so I and actually Virgo is my signature. And so I was like, hey, do you need some like back end help? Like, can I help you organize some things? And she's like, well, yeah. So we started to kind of work together a little bit. But it wasn't like, it ended up just becoming like more of like, hey, what can we work together on and create together? And that's kind of where this work with the moon business came about, because we just knew that we wanted to work together. So,
oh my goodness. Just thinking, my ultimate goal in bringing astrology into like in everyday life for like personal development, leadership development. You said earlier that you two are the fruit, and what I see is like just all of my dreams coming true, because you're taking all of this astro work and you're putting your own flavor on it, your own experience. Because I mean, so Christina, you do this whole other, like, you have your branding just like I do. You also are a musician just like I am. We got to meet in San Francisco a few months ago. That was epic. But you also do this incredible intuitive other kind of reading called toe reading, which is like blows my mind. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, I would love to. So, yeah, so I do toe reading, and I'm a
What
toe
is
reader.
I
that?
mean, like, she's being modest. She's like the mother of toe reading.
Yes,
She is re-emerging that
art
skill
form. That,
to the
yeah.
world. Yeah.
And it was kind of just one of those things that came, that just a blessing from the universe that just came to me, like how April did, just out of the blue, unexpected. Just as part of my own healing journey, I read this tiny little classified ad. Remember those, like in the early 2000s, the little classified ad about a toe reading workshop, and I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. I'm gonna go. So it's like not in the greatest place in town. It's in a basement, and it was 3 hours that changed my life. I don't even remember who taught it. I have looked for them, but it is a skill. So I read toes. So, so I like to think of it kind of like how people will read irises for health, or a lot of people compare it to like palmistry, but it's not divinatory.
Reflexology or
it's
something.
it's more, so a lot of reflexologists, this is really good for reflexologists, but it's really just identifying where are you right now on your journey. Shows you where you've been and generational stuff, and where you are now. And so the way that the toes lay, the way that the toenails are, the way that they're pointing, the way that they're connecting with the earth, like it tells you so much information. And it saved my daughter's life, and I talk about that in the workshop. And then I've just seen it over and over and over just change people's lives. Toe reading. So I've launched the Toe Reading Academy, and I've really moved much more into this very spiritual, mystical side of things, which is a side of me I would let out with very trusted clients.
Yeah.
But I was an educator, and I was a business person, and I was going to do it. But this is what's changing lives, is the spirituality piece, and toe reading is a huge part of it.
So amazing. It just feels just to bring all of these things. So I'm curious, do you bring any of that kind of your toe skills and practices into any of the moon books that you're putting together?
So not necessarily the toe reading in that, but I have developed a new modality called astro toe reading. And I do toe reading while I look at their natal charts. And it's, as always, like, you can't make this stuff up, amazing to see. And so it's like speaking two languages to confirm things, or using the toes to identify where you are on the map of your life. And it's just incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
So the toe reading, yeah, I haven't figured out a way to bring it into these yet, but I'm sure I will. It's so evolving. It's so fun, and I'm learning so much as I develop it, especially preparing to take it out into a certification program.
That is just amazing. I love how both of you are just using our traditional language of astrology and really making it your own. And we all have that capacity to do that. So that's amazing. So when I look at, Christina, you have your Cancer, your 0-degree Cancer sun, and your 0-degree Scorpio moon, and then also your Taurus rising. And then April, you have your beautiful Taurus sun, you have your beautiful Virgo moon and Leo rising. And so I have a chart, a composite chart, where a comparison chart where I've laid each of your energies on top of each other to just see where they align and where they intersect. And I know the two of you have crafted a business chart based on your domain. So can we talk a little bit about that?
That would be amazing. That would be fascinating, actually.
Yes. And so what is the most fascinating is that so like both April and Christina, like they are both like partners in this collaboration. But when I'm thinking about like who is the initiator, we always use that person, that kind of soul as the primary soul because they're offering and extending the invitation like, hey April, come work with me, although it sounds like April, you kind of maybe lovingly invited yourself like, hey, I can help you.
And I'm so grateful that she did.
But then it
Lovely.
was Christina's like, oh, I'm
Oh,
creating these workbooks and on the moon, full moons and release, but I want to, and you're like, let's bring this into the world. So I'm using Christina's chart as like the base chart.
I
And
think that's,
so
yeah.
the dial sets at 0 at that Taurus rising, right? So we'll do that Taurus rising. And because April, you have your Taurus sun in that 12th house, one of the ways that we can look at that, how you help Christina, is like helping her with all of her unfinished business, right? Like really grounding all of that in to
Sounds about
make it
right.
complete.
I
And
always know I'm going to accomplish more if April comes over.
yes.
And
And
when I say accomplish more, I mean like those little grounding tasks,
oh
right?
yeah, tying up loose ends. We all need that kind of support, right? Like there's no shame in not being able to do everything because we're not designed to do everything.
Mhm.
And then the other beautiful part that I love is where your moon is, Christina, in the 6th house, 0 degrees of Scorpio, and April's Pluto is right on top of that, right around 6 degrees of Scorpio. And so there's massive emotional transformation that happens, but in the 6th house as a practice. And I heard you when you were talking about the moon rituals, and we talk about those moon rituals too. It's like these are a practice. This is something that keeps us in a routine, that keeps us not in a like a place of like rigidity where we have to do them, but it just like gives us like those markers of like you're on the right track, you're on the right track, you're on the right track.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want to people to feel when they do this, is to both have that confirmation, that affirmation, I'm on the right track, and also, oh look, here's a way that we can shine the light on some things that we can do to up level, and then the presence that just knowing that you've got a date with yourself twice a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then,
And
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
I was
You,
just gonna say just what Christina said before is like I think sometimes time just goes and then it's like, wait, what? And so I love working with the moon because twice a month it's just like you slow down, you stop, you assess your life, and you can like look around, see what's going on, see what you want to change, see what you want to alter. And it's like that point of I mean, you hear all the time like life is made in 1 degree turns or something like
yep,
that.
little
And I think,
shifts.
yeah, 1 degree shifts. And I feel like working with the moon is your point of navigation, is the point where you get to choose where you're shifting. So
Yes. I mean, you're talking to the choir here because I love I love me some moon rituals. And we can use them just in all of the different aspects of our life and our work.
yeah.
Now, when I look at the comparison chart between Christina and April, also there's another like beautiful sense of meetup. There's a lot of different meetups, but the ones that are like really most significant to me are where Christina's Jupiter in the 9th house and aligns with how now April's Neptune Mars also it like lays on top of that Jupiter. And so the Jupiter in the 9th house, like Jupiter loves being in the 9th house, that it's its home, right? And that's what makes you like such a wonderful astrologer and philosopher. And like there's kind of like that priestess energy that is about the 9th house. And then now we have the energetic devotion and commitment that April helps with supporting that expansion.
Oof, wow, I got spirit chills when you said that. Thank you.
That's
So
cool.
the way that you work together, right, is like you guys can bring projects to completion that are both beautiful and useful and embodied. You're creating these impactful, emotional, spiritual daily practices for people, and you're allowing that purpose and devotion to expand. And so the two of you working together just create this brilliance.
Ooh, that's amazing. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
confirming, because that's what the energy feels like between us also is because truthfully, I would have happily just like kept these small in a little notebook, or like I just started graphically designing them when I started inviting people. And then with April, like I don't know if I would have brought it to the world, and yet it's been so powerful for the people that are using it. And that's thanks to April. I have the Marco Polo where she was like, and we're gonna do this, and I love this. And then she comes back, she's like, if I came on too strong, like it's okay. I'm like, no, this is exactly perfect. So yeah, it's really good.
Wonderful. Well, can you share with us, like, when somebody gets one of these books, and they're digital downloads, right? So you can get them, and they're designed so wonderfully so that you can fold them up and print them out. Can you tell, like, I have a copy in my hands, but can you tell us like all of the wonderful things that are like embedded in this energetically, and all of the good things practically?
Yes, we'd love to. Okay, so we as you get it into it, so we give you some information about like what this moon is bringing up. And then we get into like specific, really like thoughtful, introspective questions that you can like assess for yourself. And then we have some like moon magic. We have a moon magic page where we delve into kind of the characteristics of this type of moon, but then also like maybe some shadow aspects. So some light and shadow, which is really nice. We have a whole page of like, where are you now? What is happening in your life right now? So because we continue to learn as well, and we're learning all of like the moon cycles, and so you want to keep these. So then within 6 months you can look back and see what was happening 6 months ago, and kind of see how that has played out over the last 6 months. And so yeah, we have where are you now, because we want you to put in what's happening in your life. We have a card spread, and we actually are opening up a membership. It's not a membership, it's like a
Subscription
login. Yeah, it is the subscription, but it's like a login, so that you can download this, but then also if you want any additional tidbits. So I will be putting like where we have the spread, but I will be pulling cards for it as well. So if you don't necessarily have cards or don't use cards, but want some more like direction from the cards, you can get in there and see like information in there. We will put like the crystals, like pictures of what the crystals look like. So because I know I have a lot of crystals, and some I'm like, I don't know what this one is anymore. So that have like information there. But we have the crystals that are really great with this with whatever specific moon it is. The herbs that are really great. Christina always puts with the herbs like a really great tea that you can use. So if you're a tea drinker, you can gather those teas and make the teas as you do your ritual. And then there's always like a couple of activities that are like manifesting activities, or like this one for Virgo is the sweeping ritual.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Right. So that's like going to be super helpful, and harnessing that energy of that moon. And then we have fun facts, because we can't help ourselves. And
yes, got to bring out your Leo rising.
Yes. Yep. And then for anybody who is really loving like learning more about astrology, just like tidbit information, we have for luminary learners, we have what is happening exactly in the sky right now, and why it's helpful to know what's important about it. There's even a couple questions on there that will help you understand even a little bit more. And then this last page is the page of like where you can put in your statement, depending on if it's the new moon or full moon, as far as like, I honor myself by living in this wholeness. So this is for the Virgo new moon or full moon.
Full moon.
Living in wholeness and alignment with my values, my top 3 values, and then you write down your top 3 values, and then what you want to release. And then you can rip out this page and burn it. So,
ooh. I love that. I love how you're working with the elements and working with the zodiac and the archetypes and bringing in all of these different healing modalities into, like, I guess your soul embodiment, really.
It is. And like April said, it really does feel like a very intuitive, just, when we get in and we start creating this, it has gone from, a long time ago, me scrolling Instagram and finding other people's questions. And I'm like, oh, I could use that one. Oh, there's a good one. To what is the universe wanting to say through us, and then to the people that are going to be receiving this. Like, it has really become such a spiritual, intuitive practice for us.
Oh my goodness. You have no idea how much joy this brings me. So one of the things that we were talking about, so both April and Christina are both still working with me in Star Powered Circle. And we had office hours yesterday where we started talking about the chart of the business.
yes.
Right. And so you two had created a chart of the business for Work with the Moon.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit how you decided on the first breath of your work together?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I'd be glad to. So we kind of played around with it all last fall, and we're just sending it out for just to all of our subscriber, or not, like, to the people on our list, just here, take this. And then in January, lovely April, she's like, okay, like, let's get serious about this. And I'm like, oh, we are serious about this. She's like, nope, and we're gonna do this and this, and so I can't believe that workwiththemoon.com was available, but we were just sitting right here in my office. We looked it up. And so we decided that was the birth date for our business, because that's when we were like, okay, like,
we're
we
all
now
in.
got the website.
We're going to make a run for this. We're going to go for it. We're going to make this a business.
Yeah. So, take it from playtime to actually turning it into something structured. And so that's how we decided on the birth time for our business chart.
The purchase of the domain.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So one of the questions when I asked, I was like, well, how did you decide the birth time? Because I know in my practice, I don't actually often work with business charts, because my question is, well, when did the business start? Right? Did it start the first time you made money? Did it start when you did the LLC? Did it start when you got the domain? Did it start the first time you sent a worksheet to your list? Right? There's so many different initiation points, and there's not a right or a wrong answer. Like, that's any astrologer who's going to say, like, this is the way. I'm always like, And so I'm curious, as you looked at this beautiful chart. So this was on January 3rd, and we have a Capricorn sun, we have Aquarius rising, and we have, where is that moon? Oh, right there in Gemini at the base of the chart. And I'm curious what do you guys feel from this, the Work with the Moon as the entity of the soul of this? Like, what did you glean from looking at the chart?
So when I first looked at it, of course, the first thing I looked at was the sun right there in Capricorn. So I was like, oh, that's fantastic. The sun is there in Capricorn. It's in the 11th house. So I really liked that for the type of business that we were doing. And my midheaven is Capricorn. So this felt really aligned for me.
Yeah, and I actually really liked that there was the majority of the planets under the horizon, because it felt like, okay, this is internal work. This is work that everybody's going to be doing for themselves and to hopefully, like, progress and help themselves. So and very individual based. So even though we're offering this, it is like the questions are open-ended. You can answer in any capacity. So, and I actually really loved that the moon is right next to the IC. So it right there in the fourth house, where it's like, this is a comfortable place, like because it's a ritual. And so it kind of feels like a place that you'd want to go, feel comfortable, feel at home, and move through it in that kind of space. So.
And then I loved the ascendant being in Aquarius. I really like Aquarius people generally. I've got a lot of Gemini energy. Yes, I love you. And I just like the intellectual side. And that's part of why for me this is so amazing, is because I really do get in my head a lot with my air energy that I have in my chart. And so that felt comfortable. And I just the mix of what we've got in these, this is a spiritual practice, but for me looking at the chart, it brought it down to earth with that sun in Capricorn, but kept it intellectual, because that intellectual connection is so incredibly important to me. Like my Venus is in Gemini, so like that connection point for intellect is very important. So I when we looked at this chart, honestly, I was like, oh, we got a great chart here.
Yes.
Well, and I like the Aquarius rising, especially because I remember in one of the first classes I took with you, you described Aquarius as the like resurgence of ancient tools, or like
one of like to make something new again. Yeah, like technology, ancient technologies.
But like, yes, so they're so good with technology and all of that, but then also kind of bringing back ancient tools, and that's what this feels like. It feels like, okay, let's get back to our natural rhythms. Let's get back to the cyclical living. Let's get back to ourselves. And that's what that Aquarius rising feels like.
I love how you're interpreting the chart and just seeing all the beautiful things in it. When I look at this chart with that Capricorn sun in the 11th house, Aquarius rising with the primary ruler Saturn right on the ascendant, and the other the modern ruler Uranus in the 3rd house, this feels like it's, and of course Mars and the moon being right at the IC, it's like you're bringing up all of this ancestral wisdom as a tool for self-discovery and change.
You have a gift with words.
I was like, can we take that and use that as our tagline? Like, that's good.
These are your words. Always the words that come through when we're doing readings. You know this. These are your words. So yes, please. It's so beautiful. And then on top of that, when we put this back onto Christina's chart, right, the Capricorn sun then aligns with all of in the 9th house.
Oh, wow.
Purpose, the big why. It's so close to April, your Mars and Neptune devotion, so close to Christina's just expansion, like systems expansion. It's like so beautiful.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, go ahead.
One more thing. That Saturn and rising is right on Christina's 11th house. So this really has just so much potential for a lot of social impact. And really, I can see it just like growing through your friends, growing through the friends of your friends. Like there's just like this pathway that it's taking.
I love that so much.
Yes.
And feeling that actually. And I mean, we did see that Saturn, the ruler of the chart, is unaspected. And so we're like, okay, that just means just effort. It'll probably just like put some effort in there. But
there's always effort. But then the secondary ruler, Uranus, next to the North Node and trining the sun, it's like there's so much opportunity that is just there fully supporting you.
I love that.
Thank you. So good to hear. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it is really just we pulled the chart in February, and it felt really confirming, and I appreciate your words in just confirming it even more for us, because this does feel like April said, a soul contract, and in a very good way. And there's no bad charts, like I get that, but this just felt like a really aligned,
like a path, like our next step in our path kind of thing.
This is definitely like a chart of like the other thing that you were mentioning, right? Like April, that a lot of the planets are below the horizon. Also, all the planets are to the eastern hemisphere. And so when we have all of those planets on that hemisphere, it's like all about like that's why I said self-discovery, because this is all about self.
Yes.
Wow. It is. And it is. That's the best part is it totally is. And the cool thing is Christina and I used to do these, well, we still do them together, but like invite people, and there would be, 4 or 5 of us around a table, and we're all doing our own thing. Yes. We're together, but doing our own thing. So that's what it is. That's so cool.
Oh my gosh. I hope that we can all do this together in person one day soon, like before the end of 2023.
Let's set that intention. Let's absolutely do it. Because that is one of the things that we do want to do, is just bring more people in for an actual community ritual together.
Beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you would love to share about this beautiful work? Work with the Moon. Head on over to workwiththemoon.com. And what, remind me of your Instagram again?
It's just Work with the Moon. Work with the Moon. I know it. Like, can you believe everything was available? So that's when you're like, oh, this had to have been waiting for us.
Yes.
And TikTok also is Work with the Moon.
Beautiful. And like, oh my gosh, Christina, you have like April by your side, and she is just like a social media whiz. She's like,
I don't know about that, but my chart. I love, like, honestly, when you told me, I think it was a year ago, when you're like, your chart, you need to just like show up and shine. I'm like, permission?
Yes, with that 10th house sun, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I hope everyone is really inspired to work with the moon. Head on over to workwiththemoon.com and find out what these powerful workbooks are all about for your own tool of self-discovery.
And thank you, Leslie, for the community that you provide. This would not have happened without your beautiful community. So you are a part of this, and I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, April. My heart is singing. Absolutely singing.
Thank you.
All right, my friends. So we have a new moon, Aries new moon at 0 degrees. Whew, I can't start. I'm so looking forward to working with that in Star Powered Circle. We'll be revealing all of that. So thank you so much, Christina and April, for sharing your beautiful magic.
Thank you, Leslie.